If you want to learn how to use Squarespace effectively, then this video is for you because I'm going to show you everything that you need to know in order to make the most out of the Squarespace platform so that you can ultimately get your website live and start attracting target customers. And for those of you that don't know me, my name's Henry Purchase. I'm the founder of SEO Space, and I made the SEO plugin for Squarespace, and I'm helping over 10,000 Squarespace users rank higher up on Google. And in fact, I'm actually not a Squarespace website designer. I've only made a handful of Squarespace websites. So it's not like I'm a pro when it comes to using the Squarespace platform to build a website. So hopefully what this video is going to give you is a jargon-free way of covering all the things that you need to know without going into too much detail and overcomplicating things. So in terms of what I'm going to go through in this video, first of all, I'm going to show you the process of setting up a Squarespace website using Squarespace's new AI blueprint functionality. After that, I'm going to walk you through 7 key things that you need to know about how to use Squarespace. I'm going to walk you through them step by step, and it's going to be extremely actionable. So you can just copy me to make sure your Squarespace website is ready. So if you already have a Squarespace website set up and you don't want to learn how to create one using AI, skip towards the second part of the video where I'll be walking you through those 7 steps and showing you around how to use Squarespace when your website is set up. However, if you're watching this and you're a complete newbie, I'm now going to show you actually how to go through and create a website from scratch using Squarespace. So here you can see I'm on the Squarespace dashboard. Now, I've already got a few websites set up and a few clients' websites, so don't worry too much if you can't see exactly what I'm showing on this screen. And all I need to do from here is press create website. Now, Squarespace has a ton of really beautiful templates that you can use if you want to. There's then build your own template, which is Squarespace's AI. And then you can also just start with a complete blank canvas if you really want to go from 0 to 1. However, I'm just going to go to build your own template. And Squarespace is then going to take us over to Blueprint AI, which essentially allows you to design your homepage, add the pages that you need, choose all the colors and fonts for yourself, as well as also generate text and images with AI. So this is a completely new functionality. Squarespace is improving it every single month, it feels like. So by the time you watch this video, it may be even better. So I'm just going to press create site. It's going to set a few things up for me. And then from there, I'm going to be able to choose a site title and brand personality. Now, I'm going to be setting up a website for my brother. He's a gardener in a town called Shrewsbury in the UK. Of course, your site title could just be your business name. For example, for my business, it could be SEO Space. But for my brother's business, I'm just going to make it Shrewsbury Gardener because he is a gardener in Shrewsbury. His brand personality is probably just going to be friendly. You know, he doesn't need to be innovative or playful. He's just going to be friendly. And then from there, I can press next. It's then going to ask me to build my homepage. And here, all you need to do is add the sections that you want to include on your homepage. And here, I just recommend using common sense. You know, if you're trying to attract your target customer, if your target customer lands on your homepage, what would you want them to see? Now, in my brother's case, he's definitely going to want an intro to intro his services. He isn't going to have products. He's not selling anything like that. He's actually selling services. So we'll want to have a services section. He may want to take appointments in the future, but probably just to begin with, he's just going to have services, no digital products. He's going to have an about section. He doesn't want to bother with social media to begin with. He wants to attract people through SEO, search engine optimization, so through Google search. So he's not going to worry about this. However, he is going to want a form so people can get in touch. And then, of course, we also want a footer so that he can have his phone number in, etc. And actually, as you can see here, you've also got the option to change the layout for each section. It's a little bit small, so I'll just zoom in. So as you can see here, already with Squarespace's AI, you've got the flexibility in order to be able to customize your website before it's even built, which I think is a really cool feature. So I'm just going to pick this section. Obviously, I'm going to need to change the images. This looks pretty good. You know, it can be different gardening services or whatever service you offer. Nice about section. The contact us section looks okay as well. We don't want something too jazzy. And then I guess the site footer is also okay. But I think this one looks, I'm going to go back to the previous one because he's not going to have many pages to begin with. And then from there, we can just press next. to then add pages to your website. So Squarespace is literally walking you through, here's a setup for your homepage, here's extra pages that you want to add. And again, we're just going to have, you know what, to begin with, it's just going to be a one-page website. So we're not going to worry too much about that. And then colors, it's going to give you a number of different color palettes. I think this one's probably best. I'm not a fan of all the cover colors, but this is a little bit of an earthy color. I like this because it's quite bold, but it is in the friendly section as well. So we're just going to go for it. And then from there, we can pick fonts. And actually, it's also recommending a font for us. And I do actually really like this font. I feel like this is already starting to come to shape as well. So yeah, we're going to go through that and then press finish. And then from there, what Squarespace is going to do, it's going to set up a Squarespace dashboard for us. So as you can see here, we've been taken to the Squarespace dashboard. And from here, this is where you can edit all of your settings, add more pages, customize your website, and really make it your own. Now, for the purpose of this video, I am going to work with my brother's website that I've actually already created for him, just so it gives a little bit more to work with and so that you can picture it more of a Squarespace, more like a real website that's actually got content on it. So I can show you a few more things than if we just had a blank website. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you've already got a Squarespace website and you've set things up and you just want to learn how to use the platform better, from this section, this is for you because I'm now going to walk you through the 7 key things that you need to know when it comes to using Squarespace. And again, it's going to have everything that you need to know. Now, the first thing that I'm going to walk through is just knowing your way around the Squarespace dashboard because Squarespace is constantly changing this. So the first thing that I'm just going to draw your attention to is essentially how Squarespace works. In the center, you have the editor. This is where you can press edit and actually edit your Squarespace webpage. You can also press this here in order to see a preview of what your Squarespace website actually looks like. And then on the left-hand side, we have the navigation bar. This is where you can access all of the different settings. It's where you can get to the pages on your website, edit styles, which will come to you later, as well as also make the most of all of the different Squarespace features that they have available. Now, Squarespace is constantly changing how this dashboard looks, so I often return to this search feature. You can also press slash on your keyboard, and here you're going to be able to see the search bar. So if something ever moves or you're struggling to find something, I'll often return to this search functionality to then just find the particular feature that I want on Squarespace. However, if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you're new to Squarespace. So what I'm going to draw your attention to is down here. If you ever want to go back to the main dashboard, you can click this. This is where you can access help. This is the settings, which I'll take you to later. But there's also this really helpful feature, which is customize sidebar. In my opinion, there's too much here. There's tons of different features we're just not going to need. This is my brother's gardening website. He's not going to need content and membership. He's not going to need donations. He's not going to want to worry about scheduling already. So I'm just going to press customize sidebar. And then from here, I can essentially hide some of the things that I don't want to worry about right now. So invoicing, he's not going to worry about that at the moment. Content and memberships, I'm going to remove that. Donations and scheduling, I'm also going to remove. So all he's going to be able to see is website to edit the pages. There's then products and services so that you can actually advertise services on his Squarespace site. And then again here, these are the default things that you're always going to see, such as marketing, contacts, analytics, and then also finance. From there, I don't need to press save. I can just press close. And as you can see here, the dashboard is just a little bit less cluttered. It's a little bit more focused, and I can just worry about the things that I ultimately need to focus on for my brother's site. And hopefully you can do the same. So now you know your way around the dashboard a little bit more. You know how to access your website. You know how to get access all the different settings down here and also how to customize your sidebar. I'm now going to walk you through the second thing that you need to know, which is actually how to edit pages on Squarespace. As you can see here, when you're selected on website and you head over to pages, this is where you're going to see all the pages on your Squarespace website. You're going to have your main navigation, which is going to be all the pages or links. You can see this is a call today. This is a button that I've added. All the pages and links that you include in your main navigation. Then you have not linked. So these are all the pages, links, or even a blog, which are not included in the main navigation. So if you want to create a page and you don't want it to be in this main nav bar at the top, you can add it to the not linked section. Now, whenever you want to add a page to your Squarespace website, all you need to do is press plus here. And Squarespace has a ton of different default layouts and features that you can use. For example, we could just go for a blank page. We could go for a preset layout that's been designed by a designer. You can add scheduling, blogs, a store, portfolio, events, videos, courses. We can even add a member site, a drop down, or a link. As you can see, these are two links that I've actually added to the nav bar. So there's tons of different things that we can actually do. So for example, if you're like me and you're not a designer and you want to sort of get a little bit of help with building out your Squarespace website, you could select page layouts. And then from here, Squarespace is going to give you a ton of different templates that you could go for, different sections based upon the style of your Squarespace website. So you can see it's actually picked out the colors that I've already selected. And again, you could also just go for a blank page if you want to. It's also giving you a ton of different templates in order to get started. So super, super helpful. However, for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to work with a page that I've already created. Now, when you want to actually edit a Squarespace web page, you need to go over to edit. And then from there, you're in the editor mode. Now, I am on Squarespace 7.1 and I'm using Squarespace's Fluid Engine Builder, which if you've just started a new website, you're going to be on the same version as me, so do not worry. And then from here, as you can see, we've got the ability to use Squarespace's powerful drag and drop editor in order to change how our Squarespace website looks. And the key thing that I want to explain here is essentially how Squarespace works is each Squarespace web page is made up of sections and blocks. And essentially a section, as you can see here, is just a section on your Squarespace web page. It's an area that you can add. So if we want to add a new area or section, we just hover over this. We can use a number of different templates that Squarespace has available. Again, it's really, really good to just give us that starting point. You can also add save sections. In this case, I'm just going to add a blank section. So as you can see here, we've got this blank section. And then from there, in each section, we can add and edit blocks. So when we click here, we're then able to add a ton of different blocks that Squarespace has. So for example, I can just add some text. I can drag it around. I can add what I want in. So this is a gardening website. I can do all of my styling. I can change this to a heading. I can change it to a heading 3. I can change the color. I can add a link to it. I can underline it if I really want to. As you can see here, I can add a ton of different styling. Not looking too great at the moment, but hopefully you sort of get the gist that how Squarespace works is you have your sections and then you add whatever block in that section in order to style it how you want. So here we can add a title. We've got an image that we can add here. And then we could also add a video. There's tons of different things that we can add, even shapes, custom code. If you're a restaurant, you can add a menu. You can even add a chart, a calendar, summaries. There's so many different things that you can add. You've even got the ability to integrate your Instagram, add scheduling straight into a Squarespace web page. These are all the reasons that I love Squarespace because really the world is your oyster. And if you're like me, if you're not a designer, if you just want a really easy to use platform that your target customers love, this is where Squarespace really comes into its own. So as you can see here, I can even delete this if I wanted to. Go here and yeah, gardening website. So yeah, as you can see, really easy to set up a section, really easy to add blocks. And once you've made those changes, all you need to do is press save and your Squarespace web page is ready to go. So now you know how to get around the Squarespace editor itself. You're probably going to want your Squarespace website to look good. And that's actually where site styles come in. So as you can see here, that's how you edit a particular page. In order to make sure you've got that consistency across your website, what you're going to want to do is head over to styles. And what you're going to see is this right hand, I guess, widget, navigation bar, whatever you want to call it, shows up. And from here, this is where you can edit the themes across your website. So if you remember when we were building our website using AI and we selected the colors and the fonts that we want to use, if you ever want to change that on your Squarespace website, if you ever want to change the fonts, the colors, as you can see here, we can do it from there and it's automatically going to change that across our Squarespace website. So of course you do want to be careful with this, but it is a really easy way to make sure that things are consistent. And as you can see, Squarespace is making life easier for us by giving us recommended font packs based upon what is already on our Squarespace website. So this is how you change the themes, which impacts all of these different styles individually. However, if you want to customize them, for example, if you don't like how your button looks specifically, you can come over to this section here. It's going to give you recommended buttons, or you press this little icon in order to change all the different individual buttons across your website. So if I wanted to change the primary button, you can see I can come here and it literally gives me all the different options to just style my Squarespace website exactly how I want it to be. Now, of course, this is a very powerful feature. So I do really recommend that you're careful about what you actually do, which is why I prefer using the packs and the recommended themes that Squarespace creates for me, just because it ensures that I've got that consistency and that I'm not going to get surprised in the future by having a button or font, which I didn't know was actually impacted because it was hidden away, like in one of these sort of sub pages here. So editing your site styles is really, really easy with Squarespace. However, it is a little bit hidden away. You either have to, as I mentioned, head over to website and go to styles, or from the editor, if you click here, you can also access your site styles straight away. So now we've covered the site styles, I'm now going to walk you across to the settings. Now, when you click settings, this is where you're going to see all the settings for your Squarespace website. And in particular, what I'm going to focus on here is your website settings. This is where there's some really important things that you need to know, such as site availability. This is actually how you publish your Squarespace website. So if you don't want it to be private, password protected, if you want it to be public, so anyone can see your site, including your target customers, this is how you do this. Now, this isn't going to make it visible on Google search engines. You're going to have to stay for later in the video where I'm going to show you how to do that. But at least this means if someone types in your URL, if someone types in seospace.co, as long as my site is public, they're going to be able to access the website. That's really important. You've then got site languages. So if you want to change the language of your website, you can do that. Regional settings. So if you're in the UK like I am and you want to make sure that the time, regional settings, etc. You've then got your cookies and data privacy. This is where you can set up a cookie banner to essentially allow site visitors to choose their cookie preferences. Again, this is a little bit more detailed. That's probably a video for a separate guide to go through that in full detail. You've then got your fav icon, and your fav icon is essentially the little icon, the little logo that shows up in the tab that you're on your browser. If you see a little black box instead of a logo, that's because you haven't added a fav icon. So from here, all you need to do is add your fav icon in this box here, and it's automatically going to add the logo. For example, this is Squarespace's fav icon. And if you haven't got yours showing, it's because you haven't set it up. So you need to make sure you go over to website settings and then fav icon from here. Then you've got your ability to set up your social links. So if you ever add social links to your Squarespace website as a block, they'll already be customized and set up for your social media links. You've then got social sharing, so you can adjust how your site is going to show up if it's ever shared on social media. You've got then Pinterest save buttons, the ability to import and export content, and then a couple of other features that I'm not going to go into because I don't believe they're that important for most people. There's a reason that these are the top. They're the most important, and hopefully that's just giving you a little bit of a run through of some key things that you need to do when it comes to your website settings. So now you know how to customize your Squarespace website. You know how to add sections and blocks. You know how to get the styling right. You even know how to publish it and also to make sure that you've got a fav icon. I'm now going to touch upon how to set up your website SEO. And SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's a process of ensuring that your Squarespace website looks professional and follows best practices so that it can rank higher up on search engines. So SEO is super important because what's the point of launching your Squarespace website if no one's actually ever able to find it in the first place? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to head back to pages. I'm then going to head over to my homepage, and then I'm going to press settings here. Once you've pressed settings, this is where you can edit a number of different things. You've got your page title. You've even got the URL slug, which is the unique identifier of that page. So for example, if I go to SEO space and I click on our course, you can see our URL slug is Squarespace SEO course. So this is a unique identifier of that page on the SEO space website. So if you want to customize that, you need to go over to the settings, general, and then URL slug. However, when it comes to our specific SEO settings, if you come over to SEO here and then press edit website SEO settings, this is where you can edit your SEO settings for your whole Squarespace website. So we're just going to click here. It's also going to take us back to the settings where we've just been. So you can also press settings and then access what I've just shown you from marketing. And then as you can see here, this is where you actually edit the search appearance for your homepage, your pages, and then also your items. I'm just going to draw your attention to this down here. This is where you can change your SEO title and your SEO description. Now, if you don't know what those are, do not worry because I'm going to show you an example here. So I've just typed in Squarespace SEO plugin, and as you can see, SEO space ranks position 1 on Google for that search term. That's because we have good SEO. And what you can see here, this text that shows up that's usually blue, as you can see, is essentially your SEO title. So what you're customizing here is the text that shows up for your homepage on Google when someone sees you. So this is your SEO title. So you want to make sure that you customize this to make sure you look professional. And then here, this is your SEO description. So this is your SEO description, the text that shows up underneath the title. And then this is your SEO title, which is the blue text that shows up on Google search engines. So if you want to look professional, you need to make sure that you edit your SEO settings. So to give you an example on my brother's website, here we've got a dedicated page to his gardening services in Shropshire. So he's based in Shrewsbury, which is a town in the UK, and that town is in the area of Shropshire. So he's got a dedicated page for gardening services in that broader area. So if we wanted to make sure the SEO was set up on this particular web page, all we would need to do is head over to the settings. We'd want to make sure that the URL slug is relevant for what he wants to rank for. So we'd need to add something like Shropshire gardening services. If you ever change the URL slug, you're essentially changing the unique identifier of that particular web page. So if Google has gone through your website, or if you've got this page linked in any other area of your Squarespace site, you're essentially changing the URL to a different identifier, which means any link that goes to that old identifier is going to break. And that's where something called a 301 redirect is required. So if you ever change the URL slug, what you're going to want to do is head back to settings. You're then going to want to go to developer tools. And then from there, you're going to want to go to URL mappings. Now, this does look a little bit complicated, but do not worry. All you're doing is making it clear to Google and fixing those broken links to say, hey, this page that used to be here has now moved to this new URL. And Squarespace actually gives you an example of what you need to do. You need to set up a 301 redirect. So if you ever change the URL of a web page, you need to set up a 301 redirect to tell Google and users that this URL, the unique identifier, has moved from here to there. So in this case, the URL used to be Shropshire Gardener, and we've just changed it. As you can see here, we need to add the original URL, a little arrow. The new URL, we've changed it to Shropshire Gardening Services. And then we need to add the redirect type, which in this case is going to be 301. And then from there, we can press save, which has created that redirect from the old URL to the new URL. And again, that's important because you need to tell Google that the page has moved. From there, if we actually come back to the page settings, head over to SEO, that's where we can then edit the SEO title and the SEO description for this particular web page. And in general, you want your SEO title to be between 50 and 60 characters, and your SEO description to be between 150 to 160 characters. And the reason for that is you want to make sure that you're more likely for Google to show you professionally and correctly when it comes to Google. So this step is really important because, as I've already mentioned, What's the point of creating a beautiful website if no one's actually able to find it? Make sure you take the time to go through those SEO settings, edit your URL slug so that it's descriptive and makes sense for the content on your web page, and then edit your SEO title and SEO description so that your SEO title is 50 to 60 characters, your SEO description is 150 to 160 characters, so that each page has got at least the basic SEO optimization ready to go. Once you've done that, you're then ready to move over to the sixth thing that I want you to know when it comes to using Squarespace effectively. You've already learned how to add sections and blocks. You've learned how to apply site styles. You've even learned the key website settings that you need to know when it comes to Squarespace. And I've even walked you through the basics of search engine optimization. The next thing that I want you to do, if you've published your Squarespace website, you need to actually tell Google that you're ready to be displayed on search engines. You need to say, hey, Google, here's my website. Here's all the pages. Please display me. And this is a critical step that I see a lot of Squarespace users not do. Because believe it or not, 85% of Squarespace websites are invisible on Google. So you need to make sure that you follow this key step so that your target customers can actually find you in the first place. And in order to do this, what I want you to do is head over to settings. Then you're going to go to third party tools. From there, you're going to press connected accounts. And then from here, you're going to press connect accounts and then Google Search Console. And this is going to connect Squarespace to Google Search Console. Google Search Console is essentially Google's native platform where you tell Google that you want to be displayed on search engines and then see all the data of how you're showing up on search engines. So you need to make sure that you've got a Google account. You can go through this process and connect Google Search Console to your Squarespace site. From there, all I want you to do is search Google Search Console into Google, head over to Google Search Console, press start now, and then from there, make sure you've selected the website that you've just connected to Google Search Console. Don't worry, if this is the first time you've done this, you're only going to have one website showing up, but you can see I've done this a number of times, which is why I've got a number of different websites. So just make sure you select the site that you've just connected. From there, you're then going to head over to sitemaps. And then what I want you to do is submit your sitemap to Google. And your sitemap is essentially a list of all the different pages on your Squarespace site. It's essentially a map that allows Google to understand the structure of your website, all the different pages, so you can essentially be displayed professionally. Now, if you have just published your Squarespace website, you're going to need around 48 hours before you do this. The reason being, Squarespace takes around 48 hours in order to generate your sitemap for you. It does do this automatically, which is a lot easier than other website builders like WordPress, for example, where it doesn't automatically create your sitemap. Squarespace does it for you. And all you need to do is head over to this box here, type in sitemap.xml, and then press submit. As you can see, I've already done it here. And you can see that Google Search Console has discovered 5 pages on my brother's gardening website. So this essentially means we've submitted the map of the pages on my brother's website and we've said, hey, Google, we're ready to be displayed on search engines. Please show us. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, you can actually also take the URL of a specific web page that you really want Google to take notice of, and you can actually inspect it. So if you take a URL and you pull it in this search bar up here, you can actually manually request indexing. And indexing is just the process of displaying a web page on search engines. So you can actually say, Google, hey, Google, this is a really important page on my Squarespace site. Please make sure that you display it. And if you press request indexing, you're going to request Google manually go through this web page. So if you're facing any indexing issues, i.e. particular pages on your Squarespace website aren't showing up, this is the process that you can go through. Now, as I've already mentioned, I am the founder of SEO Space. So if you want a jargon-free, step-by-step process in order to follow, then feel free to use SEO Space. SEO Space users are 4 times more likely to get found on Google than the average Squarespace user. So it really is the best place to be to nail your SEO. So now you know how to get your Squarespace website showing up on Google by connecting it to Google Search Console. Before I move over to the next step, you may also want to familiarize yourself with the Analytics tab. The Analytics tab is essentially where you can understand a little bit more about the traffic that is coming to your Squarespace website. what devices they're visiting on, where they're coming from. For example, are they coming from Google? Are they coming direct? Are they coming through social media? Squarespace has this fantastic analytics capabilities all built in with the Squarespace dashboard. Of course, you can set up Google Analytics if you want to. I'm not going to do that in this video, purely because for beginners, this is going to have everything that you need. And then moving on to the final thing that I want you to know, as you've probably seen from here, we've covered the surface of how to use Squarespace. There's many other features and functionality which I haven't gone through in this video, and that's where you're going to need to access Squarespace's support. Now, if I ever want to access Squarespace's support, what I type in is Squarespace's support chat. And then from there, you'll see contact customer support. And from there, what I'll do, I will select this button and it's going to open this chat bot in the bottom right hand corner. From my experience, if I ever want to access support, this has been the best way for me. However, you can also, if you go down to here, you can also select community and then select forum. And this is where you're going to be taken over to the Squarespace forum, where you can start a discussion, ask a question, and get a pro like me answer your particular query for you. So you can either go to Squarespace's official help, as you can see here, through the help center, or you can go through their official forum in order to get an expert to help you out. If you want to, you can also head over to Facebook, type in Squarespace community, where you can head over to the largest Squarespace community on Facebook. I actually run this, so there's a ton of different experts on here which can help you out if you're ever facing a problem when it comes to Squarespace. Of course, as I mentioned, I'm also the founder of SEO Space. So if you're ever facing an SEO problem, you can install SEO Space and use our support, and we'll be more than happy to help you with SEO. There you are, guys. That is a complete Squarespace tutorial for beginners in less than 45 minutes. If you have found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to SEO Space's YouTube channel. It really helps us to get more visibility, to help more Squarespace users like you. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.